So Joe Rogan has recently come under fire because a couple of videos have surfaced online of him making racist remarks. Because of this, there's now a movement trying to get Joe Rogan cancelled. But should Joe Rogan be cancelled? Does he deserve it? Let's talk about it before we do. My name's Rahul Jaishan. This is the Battle Camp. Thank you very much for joining me. If you're new to the channel, please do consider subscribing. All right, this is a bit of a difficult, delicate subject to talk about. So before I kind of say anything, I just want to say this is just my opinion. I'm not trying to be a person of authority. I'm not trying to say I'm an expert. I'm just sharing my opinion on what I've seen online up until this point. If someone makes a point, say for argument's sake in the comments, that opposes my opinion that I happen to agree with, I'm happy to change my opinion. I've always said that on this channel. My opinion is right as of now. It doesn't mean that it's going to be my opinion in a week, a month, or a year's time, right? Now, before I kind of share my opinion, I've already used that word too many times in this short time I've been recording this video. Let's just agree on a set of facts. So this is what I believe has happened so far. Now, Joe Rogan had been coming under fire for a number of weeks and months because of his views on the pandemic and how the powers that be have dealt with the protocol, the steps they put in place to manage public health funds, etc., etc. Right? He's already been coming under fire because of that. And recently he's come under more fire because of these two videos that have resurfaced of Joe Rogan making these racist remarks, right? So one video is Joe Rogan describing his experience of going to watch Planet of the Apes in a predominantly black neighborhood. And the other video is Joe Rogan repeating the N-word over and over. It's a compilation video, so there's no context around each of the times he uses the word in terms of why he was using that word, right? So what I want to talk about first is the video where he talks about going to watch Planet of the Apes in a predominantly black neighborhood, because to me that's inexcusable, right? That is a racist piece of footage. Like what he said during that 2-minute, 1-minute kind of video was completely racist, comparing black people to the apes in in the movie Planet of the Apes. I remember seeing this a number of years back, right? And even then I was just a little bit bemused about how has this made it out in a public forum? How is this in a public domain? And more importantly, I was disappointed about the fact that Joe Rogan said this, because I'm not someone that looks up to Joe Rogan, but I have watched his podcast in the past. And I will watch episodes on Spotify if the guest is someone that I'm interested in, right? And I just saw a side of Joe Rogan that I didn't think existed, and I saw him make racist remarks. But what disappointed me was, whilst he was making the remarks, I kind of got the feeling that he didn't realize he was making racist remarks. Do you know what I mean? Now, if I kind of look at the context in which he was saying these comments, it was on a podcast where he was trying to be funny and he was trying to make the guests on this podcast laugh. Now, that's not a valid excuse to make racist comments, but I feel as though he was in a position where he was trying to be edgy and he was trying to... he failed miserably in trying to be funny, effectively. I am someone that doesn't believe if you say something racist, it means you are a racist. Does that make sense? Like, you can say something, you can say something that can be deemed offensive or racist without without having that intention behind it, right? And I feel as though this is what happened to Joe Rogan back when he was saying these things about the black people in that neighborhood. Now, the other video, the compilation of Joe Rogan using the N-word, that's kind of, to me, that's neither here nor there, right? Because if the argument is you shouldn't be using that word at all, then I understand, right? But if I kind of put myself in the context of this situation, and the way in which I would do that is if we swap out the N-word for a word beginning with P, which is a common term used in the UK if you want to be racist towards someone that's Asian, right? So if I was sat there and I saw a video of Joe Rogan saying the P word over and over again, I don't think my initial instinct would be of anger or cancel this man. Why is he saying the P word, right? Having said that, I understand that the history and the weight of the N-word is way more of a burden than that of the P word. Like, the N-word has been a racist word that goes back centuries, used against black people, whereas the P word is a word that originated, I believe, in the UK. Has been around for decades, not centuries, and it's specific to people from South Asia, so that's Pakistan, India, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh. That's what they call us, right? It's less weighty, there's less kind of history behind the word, in my opinion, whereas with the N-word, obviously it goes back to slavery and all of that murky history, etc. So I can understand why, you know, people might be offended with the mere fact that Joe Rogan used the N-word. But to me, I feel as though if I suppose I'm of the opinion that if someone's being racist and they've said a racist slur, then I'd rather be open about the fact that someone said, this is what someone said, right? So if I go back to the example I was using before and replace the N-word with a P word, I'd rather it be out loud. If someone called me a P word, I wouldn't want to say, oh, he called me the P word. I'd use the word. I'd say he called me a, because it needs to be known that this is what has been done, right? I kind of feel as though hiding the word almost lightens the load, if that makes sense, right? I hope I am making sense, because I feel like I am. I remember recently, actually, in the news, where a newsreader or a reporter, she was reporting an incident where someone used the N-word, and she quoted it and said, so-and-so called so-and-so you whatever, right? And there was a backlash for that. And I didn't understand the backlash at the time, because I thought to myself, well, that's what happened, right? Person A called person B the N-word. So why are we angry? Why are people getting angry about it? But I suppose it might not be my place to have an opinion, because it's not something that I've had to deal with in my life. I have actually been called that word, but I didn't really take offense to it, right? I don't know, like, but then the counter argument to that was, well, they don't use, if it was a swear word, like say the F word, or being called, I don't know, if there's certain words that you won't say on the news before well, you wouldn't say on the news regardless, right? So I suppose the argument people are saying is, if it's tasteless to say the F word or tasteless to say whatever swear word on the news, why is it okay for them to then say the N word? That should be treated the same way, right? So I suppose the point I'm trying to make is, having watched enough of the Joe Rogan Experience, and given the fact that this compilation was just him using that word and no context behind it, I don't feel as though the intention was for him to offend anyone by using that word. He was talking about situations where that word had been used or someone had said that word and he repeated it, right? Now, my whole, now that I've kind of given my opinion on the two videos, my overarching opinion on all of this is this, right? Firstly, it's funny that this has all come out so many years later, but it kind of tends to resurface. Like, it's not the first time that I've seen either of those videos, and it's weird that it's just now that it's kind of caused the stir that it has. And to me, I think it's got a lot to do with this deal that Joe Rogan has with Spotify, where he's earning hundreds of millions of dollars apparently, and it's a platform that isn't entirely his own. So as a result, people believe if they shout loud enough, Spotify might be pressured into removing him from their platform, right? So I suppose now he's actually got something to lose, whereas before he was independent. And if the video resurfaced, etc., what could possibly happen to him? Like, he might lose a sponsor, someone else will replace it. Do you know what I mean? Like, what is the damage that can be done? I've seen comedians and people of that nature talking about how the left are out to get him, and trying to kind of amount all of this to this massive conspiracy that I don't necessarily buy into. I don't believe this is a coordinated attack on Joe Rogan to remove his platform or the power that he has in modern day media. I just feel as though he's part of the conversation at the moment because of his views on the pandemic and how certain things have been reported by mainstream media, etc., etc. And I don't want to go down that road because that's a whole different conversation. But I feel as though people kind of, oh, Joe Rogan, remember when he done this, or remember when he said this? He's become part of the conversation. I don't know whether it's this well-coordinated attack by the left. I just feel as though people on social media like to light a match, throw it on something and watch that something burn. And I feel as though this is just an example of it. And trying to make this overly political as a left vs right argument, debate, then I feel as though everyone's just doing everyone a disservice, because I don't believe this is the case personally. This is just my personal opinion, right? It's funny because there's a number of kind of, as I said, I've seen all of this pouring out of support for Joe Rogan. I've seen a UFC fighter, a black UFC fighter, write a piece about how he doesn't believe that Joe Rogan is a racist. And what I kind of struggle with in the modern day, in the times we live in, is if someone actually does something egregious, they commit a crime, right? So say, for example, if I was to, I don't know, if I was famous, first and foremost, and then I did something like, I don't know, had a fight. If I had a fight and I ended up hurting somebody and I ended up going to prison for 3 months, I'll do my 3 months in prison and then I'll come out and life would be different, but doing that stint in prison would almost go some way in wiping the slate clean in terms of the image I might uphold in public. But if you say something, right, If you say something that can be deemed as offensive to a group of people, that can almost stick with you forever in certain situations. And that's one thing I can't really get my head around, because I believe, and I think I said this earlier on in the video, you can say something that's racist without actually being a racist, because to me racism is all about intent, and it's all about where you fall, how you curate your views and opinions about people, right? So if I may well have accidentally said something that could be deemed offensive to a race at some point in my life, but I don't mean, if I haven't meant any harm by it. Do you know what I mean? It's not something that I've intentionally gone out to offend or to hurt someone's feelings by making a racist remark about them. And that's where I believe Joe Rogan kind of falls, right? Like, I'm not his biggest fan. I don't listen to every single podcast that he does. I'm not saying that I sit here and agree with every opinion that he expresses, but to me, it's very rare for me to agree with every opinion of any individual that I listen to on a regular basis. It's very rare for me to do that. So I find it scary that there's actually people out there that are like that hang on to every word that someone, it's almost like they have deferred their own ability to think and evaluate situations, and just deferred it to someone else, and whatever that person thinks or says is correct. So that's what I'm gonna believe because person A has said that. Does that make sense? A lot of people that are calling for his head haven't bothered to listen to actually done the work, the research behind Joe Rogan and what he stands for, and the context in which he said these things in, right? And it kind of reminds me of a situation that happened a couple of months ago over here in the UK, where this influencer woman, Molly May, came out and said everybody's got 24 hours in a day, so we need to try our best to use them to the best of our ability, so we can achieve the most we can in our lives. And I'm paraphrasing, but that's effectively the point she was trying to make. And the amount of backlash and hate she got because of that statement, I couldn't believe it. Because again, what was her intention when she was saying that? She wasn't saying to the single mother with kids, etc., you need to try harder, you're lazy. She was talking about everyone in the context of their own situation. Everyone can do that little bit more to get closer to whatever they deem as a success. That's the way I took it. And it feels as though nowadays people just remove context and their own ability to think, and just take everything so literally and use that to reaffirm an opinion that they already have or want to have about a person. You know, it's funny because I can't see this ending in Joe Rogan getting cancelled, removed from Spotify. And I saw Brendan Schaub talking about, oh, if they remove him from Spotify, then I'm going to take my content off of Spotify. And if I'm Joe Rogan, I'm probably sat there thinking to myself, well, that's not really going to help anything. But I appreciate the sentiment. It kind of reminds me of like when you're a player short for football and you ring your mate and say, do you want to play? And he's like, yeah, I'll play, but I don't have £8. Can you spot me? And it's a bit like, oh, fuck, no, I don't really want to pay for you, mate. But that's that's the feeling I got when Brendan Schaub decided that he was going to back it for Joe Rogan by taking his content off Spotify. But this isn't about Brendan Schaub and my disdain for his content. this is about, so let's go back to the actual question. I hope I've made some sense. Should he get cancelled? And my answer is no, he shouldn't get cancelled, because this footage has been around for years. It's been seen for years. If I've seen it, I know other people have seen it. It just feels as though society at the moment is getting more and more sensitive and more vocal about why their feelings are hurt. And that is a perfect equation for the noise that these two clips have caused, to get the light that they're both getting, right? The attention that they're both getting. Now, I don't agree with the terminology snowflake. I remember, this is a prime example of what I'm trying to say to you guys, right? I a person that I worked with a couple of years ago, and I'd consider him a friend, right? He said something to me that was racist, right? It wasn't overtly angry racist, but he made a racist remark. I said, oh, you can't say that. He said, stop being such a snowflake. And I feel as though that term, a snowflake, is a get out of jail free card for posh people who don't have any inclination to understand where boundaries are when it comes to being racist or sexist or whatever. And let's take posh out of it, because it's not just posh people, it's just people in general. It just so happens that this geezer was posh. So I don't like that term, snowflake, but it gives credence to the term when people are overtly offended about so many things all the time, right? Now, me saying this, I'm not saying that people shouldn't be offended about these videos of Joe Rogan. You have every right to be if you are offended. I suppose the point I'm trying to make is this footage has been out for years. It's not something that has been kept secret and it's only just surfaced now. It's something that has been around and in the public domain for years, right? That's the first thing. The second thing is intention. Like, what is the man's intention? What is his heart? And to me, I don't believe that his heart is of someone that is racist. I feel as though he is more, I feel as though as an individual, from what I've seen and heard of him, I don't feel as though his actions match those of a racist person's, right? And and like, going back to what I said earlier, it feels as though we're in a moment in time where you can actually do an actual crime, something that's actually against the law, do your time, get your punishment levied to you by the law or whatever, and carry on about your business. But if you say something that might offend people, it's almost more of a punishment, which I don't quite understand. I can't get my head around. But yeah, in conclusion, he shouldn't be cancelled, in my opinion, and he won't be cancelled because I don't feel as though Spotify are going to remove him from the platform. But I think they should remove Brendan Schaub. That's what they should do. That will make the world a better place. Anyway, these are my thoughts on the matter. I hope I didn't ramble on too much, and I hope I made some sort of sense. But feel free to share your comments below. Let me know what you guys think about the stuff that I've said. Let me know what you guys think about the whole situation overall. Don't forget to subscribe and share this video with a friend if you've enjoyed it. I'll catch you guys next time.